Let's go on to the player ratings, and let's start off with Venom Vicario. Sim gives him a 9. I gave him an 8. Some brilliant saves on the day. Well, the notable one was that from point blank range. I thought, the ref was going to blow up any second and say it crossed the line, but it actually was nowhere near crossing the line. And credit to Vicario. And it wasn't just the save as well; it's how he got it away from the goal, which I thought was absolutely brilliant. Countless amount of times he was coming out, punching the ball, relieving the defence off the pressure. There was that one dodgy moment, wasn't there, in the first half where he kind of flapped it a bit. It was called for offside, so he got a bit lucky there. Yeah. But look, I thought it was a really good display.
That was a weird moment because it seemed like an easy catch, and he just decided to punch it and whatever it was. But it was weird actually. Because watching the game, he seemed to make loads of saves and like really keep us in the game. But then I look at the stats; it was only one shot on target because they were all offside. So when it actually came to what counted, he actually didn't actually have too much to do. He just had that one save. But I did think in general he was really good from set pieces, relieved pressure a number of times from set pieces. That save was world class, and I think he was a big element to us keeping a clean sheet. So I don't think he did anything wrong. So brilliant performance from Vic.
Yeah, and I think Ariane came on the fan show yesterday, and he said that Vicario must have the best highlight reel of offside saves
in the world. Chelsea game.
Like, there were so many as well. It wasn't just the Chelsea. I feel like every game he's making like offside saves. But anyway, let's move on to Destiny Udogie. Sim gives him an 8. I gave him a 7 as well. I thought he was another player like Pape Matar who was growing as the game wore on. He was that driving force out on the left-hand side through the centre of the pitch. I thought he defended fairly well as well. So yeah, I thought it was a good display.
Yeah, I thought that the yellow card he got was absolute BS. Yeah. It never should have been a yellow. Rubbish refereeing on that occasion. But I thought in general he had a strong display. I thought on their right hand side, that's not where the chances were really coming from. I know Nico Williams hit the post late on, but I thought by and large he had him pretty much in his pocket. I thought he was dominating that side for a lot of the game. Maybe didn't get forwards as much as we would like, but I thought when he did get forward, he was looking quite dangerous, but bursting into the space, and I thought he kept possession really well. So pretty good display from Destiny, in my opinion.
Next up, Kuti Romero, 8 all round for Kuti. I thought Kuti was brilliant, to be honest. I did think his centre-back partner was better than him, which we'll get into in a minute, but the way he was consistently winning challenges, winning duels, pressing high into the midfield as well, and setting us up on attacks. Since he's been back from his suspension, I think he's been absolutely brilliant, and this was another one to the catalogue.
Yeah, another fantastic display, and I thought he was a big part of the reason we defended so well late in that game, and I thought he really took authority and leadership late on the game when we were definitely under the cosh, and I thought he put in some really vital challenges and clearances, and I thought in that first half as well, when we were that moment where we were creating chances, he was a big part of those moves as well. So a really good display from Kuti.
Ben Davies up next. Sim gives him a 9. I gave him an 8. I would like to give him maybe like an 8.5 to be honest. But look, great display from Ben Davies, another player who has stepped up for the team admirably well ever since Mickey van der Ven has got injured. And this was another great display. Confident, combative, aggressive, using his head on a number of occasions to combat which was quite a tall Aston Villa, Nottingham Forest side yesterday. So you've got to give him credit for that. The number of clearances he was making, relieving us of the pressure of the back, and good ball playing ability as well.
Yeah, I thought he was top notch and very close to being my man of the match. I thought he really stood up for us when we were really under pressure, and the amount of headers he won, I think he got 6 clearances on the day, which was more than anyone else on the pitch. And you don't associate Ben Davies with someone who's going to be dominant in that kind of facet of the game, but you know what, recently he really has been impressive and really taken me by surprise, to be honest. So got to give him lots of credit, and he was a big part of why we got the clean sheet, and I thought he defended exceptionally well, didn't put a foot wrong, and as well on the ball I thought he had quite a bit of quality as well, played some really good passes. So really good stuff there from Ben Davies.
Pedro Porro up next. Sim gives him an 8. I gave him a 7. It seems like a bit of a consistent theme so far in these ratings, and maybe it's being in the stadium and watching it on TV. Yeah, I thought Pedro was good. I don't think it was as strong as maybe it has been in previous weeks, but I still think it was a really good display. Some really good defensive actions in there from Pedro Porro. He did get dribbled past a couple of times on the day, and he could have gotten the goal of the score sheet late on in the game. But I felt like Pedro Porro going forward has been a lot stronger maybe in previous weeks.
Yeah, I thought his passing was still pretty strong. I thought he helped us in attack quite a bit, but maybe not as much. Obviously, the Newcastle game, he was ridiculous. He was like our chief creator, wasn't quite on that level. I thought defensively, fairly solid, although Elanga was giving him a bit of trouble, but I thought more often than not, he dealt with him, to be honest. Although Elanga was definitely trying to run at him. I thought he actually did a pretty good job defensively, and I was really happy with how he dealt with that. And a few occasions as well, Elanga's running at him, and he was able to earn goal kicks from it. So that was really good. So I was pretty happy with Pedro.
Next up, Yves Bissouma. Sim gives him a 4. I gave him a 3. Obviously, the big talking point is the sending off. Second sending off of the season so far. Third suspension of the season. And at the moment, 5 games missing for suspension this season, which is actually crazy when we're not even halfway through the season. It's just stupid. You didn't need to do it. He's trying to recover from a bad touch that he's made, and he lunges in and he catches him on the knee with his studs, sending off for sure. And apart from that, I felt like he wasn't really in the game. He was making a few good interceptions and winning a few duels, but I did feel like his passing was a bit off on the day and did play us into trouble quite a number of times.
Yeah, I mean, it was unnecessary. It was reckless, that challenge. And again, is another situation where we're looking good, we're in control, and we just do something stupid to put ourselves under pressure. And that's exactly what happened with this Bissouma challenge. And it's something he's really got to learn quick, because it's been costing us a few times this season, especially with the numbers already being short with the injuries we have. We can't afford to have just stupid suspensions, but that's what we're going to have to live with. And now we're going to have to, play the next 7 games without him because he's going away to the AFCON, so we're not going to see him until February. So it's a really frustrating situation. It's probably something that's definitely going to frustrate Ange. I think in general, he didn't have a terrible game. I didn't think he had a great game, but I think he was probably better than maybe he was in his bad period. But yeah, was a reckless moment, and that undercuts any work he did in the game.
Yeah, and he needs to, he needs to dust himself off and get better. But we're not going to see him for a long time now, until probably the end of January. Probably February is the next time we're going to see him, which is just absolute madness. But let's move on to Pape Matar Sarr. Sim gives him an 8. I gave him a 7. I think he earned his money yesterday when we did go down to 10 men. He was absolutely brilliant from that point on, buzzing around like a bee, winning the ball back time and time again, relieving us of the pressure, keeping the ball high up the pitch, letting us spring on Nottingham Forest whenever we could. But the reason I gave him a mark down, I would have given him an 8 to be honest, but the reason I gave him a mark down is because of his first half performance. I thought he was fairly poor. He was playing us into trouble quite a number of times in that first half, but second half I thought he was brilliant.
Yeah, I thought he really stepped up when we needed him. He was a bit sloppy in the first half. I think the whole team are really struggling with how aggressive Forest were, and it was really difficult for us to just play our football that we wanted to, apart from maybe the early exchanges, where I actually thought Sarr was quite good, but then obviously he started to really struggle. But then obviously went down to 10 men. I thought he stepped up massively, and he was it was important when we were stretching Forest as well, getting forward, just being a willing runner when we're trying to attack, but obviously being a tireless runner off the ball as well, making sure that Forest are making it as difficult as possible for them to create chances. And I thought in the end he had a really strong performance. So 8 for Sarr.
Let's move on to the man of the match, Dejan Kulusevski. Another unbelievable display from Decky. Sim gives him a big fat 10. I gave him a 9, maybe a tiny bit harsh. I thought Kulusevski was absolutely brilliant from start to finish, to be honest. When he was in the centre, he was causing them no ends of problems. Everything Spurs were doing good was coming through him. Lovely back heels and party tricks were coming out. 2 big chances created throughout the game. Maybe Sonny should have done better from the chance that he had in the first half. And you know what? If Sonny scores that, it's probably a much easier game than what we did have to go through. Second half, he got moved over to the right-hand side when Brennan Johnson first half actually, he got moved over to the right-hand side when Brennan Johnson went off injured. And I think he stood up for the team. Obviously got the goal for the first goal. Lovely cross cutting in on his left-hand side. Perfect cross for Richarlison to nod home. And then the goal just capitalising on a terrible Matt Turner kick out. He gets the ball, shifts over to his right-hand side. And yeah, Matt Turner should be doing better, but it's a really good shot as well. A lot of power onto it. So I thought Kulusevski, especially when we were down to 10 men in the second half, he was leading the line perfectly and they just couldn't get the ball off him. They couldn't live with him. And he's really playing into form at the moment.
Yeah, the whole game he was just exceptional, wasn't he? He was the only player who probably had a good 90 minutes. He was a head and shoulders our best player in the opening exchanges when we were creating those chances, and he was brilliant in that number 10 position. They were so hard to deal with, and what I love about him is when he gets in those positions that he makes for himself with his physicality, but then he has the quality and the presence of mind to create a good pass or get a shot off. But obviously slipped in some of that chance. He also slipped in Johnson for his shot, which was saved from Turner as well. And obviously he got the brilliant assist for Richarlison's goal at the end of the first half with an excellent cross pinpoint, which we haven't maybe seen too many times of that kind of cross this season. And then in the second half, obviously he got the moment which sealed the second goal, and then was unbelievable when we were down to 10 men, just to be a focal point for the team, making sure we're relieving the pressure, making sure that even when Forest are pouring forward, that we're a bit of a threat on the counter. And he nearly scored again. And I thought when he was holding the ball up, he was doing an exceptional job. So physical there. Even calls, I think, from some fans to put him in the number 9 position sometimes after that display yesterday. So I thought he was exceptional throughout, on and off the ball, throughout the whole game. So I just had to give him a 10.
You know what? If he could cross the ball to himself, I'll put him in the number 9 position, to be fair. But we need his crossing ability out wide, or definitely his creative ability deeper on the pitch as well. So I think Richarlison's doing a good enough job to keep him in the number 9, to be fair. But let's move on to Brennan Johnson. 6-0 round for Brennan. Went off early again with a clash of heads after half an hour, which was so unfortunate, wasn't it? Because this is the second time now, Arsenal game and now this game, that he has to go off early with injury. It's just very stop-start at the moment, or pretty much since he's joined Spurs, Brennan Johnson. But he had that chance when he was on the pitch with it was like a little disguised shot. It was a really weird one, to be honest. A little toe poke, which nearly crept in past Turner. But that was pretty much all I can remember from the opening half an hour from Brennan.
Yeah, didn't have too much involvement, did he? He had a couple of times where he got the ball in space on the right-hand side, but it didn't really make too much of it. And then he had that shot. And then I didn't really see what happened with the injury. Was it a clash of heads or something?
Clash of heads, yeah.
Clash of heads. So that's unfortunate for him that the cut was that bad. Thankfully, there's no concussion, they're saying. So looks like he should be able to play against Everton on Saturday, which is a big bonus. But a shame he had to leave this one early.
Yeah. Heung-min Son up next. Sim gives him a 7. I gave him a 6. Got him behind from lovely work from Kulusevski in the early stages of the game. Bit of a poor shot, to be honest, straight down the throat of the keeper, where you expect Sonny to just gobble those up, to be honest. And apart from that, I felt it was a really hard day for Sonny. He was tirelessly working hard throughout the whole game, non-stop running, but he pretty much had 2 or 3 men on him the whole time. And with Nottingham Forest playing in a low block, these are the kind of games where Sonny struggles in a little bit, and I think this was more evidence of that.
Yeah, he'll be disappointed he didn't score that early chance, and maybe that would have made the game a bit more manageable if he did score that moment. I actually thought early on he was actually playing quite well and actually like really doing some really good stuff. But then as Forest grew, he was kind of being bullied out the game a bit. He was being kicked out the game a lot of the times. A few times he's on the floor being kicked by Forest players and the referee's not doing anything about it. I felt like the ref failed to protect him in quite a few occasions, which was very frustrating. Second half, and when we're on the breakaway, I thought there were some good things there from him, which showed, again, good link-up play and good quality, but wasn't too many opportunities to create chances, albeit what I would say is the second goal comes from him pressurising the keeper and forcing a mistake, and obviously Kulu takes advantage, but it wasn't for Son doing that. Probably doesn't happen, so that was a really good thing. Wasn't his best game, but I thought he did enough for me to earn a 7.
And Richarlison, the last of the starting 11, 7s all round for Rishi. Another goal, 3 goals in his last 2 games. Back in the goals with his head this time. Took it really well after a great cross from Dejan Kulusevski. But he was working so hard throughout the game. He was even dropping deep at times, coming in search for the ball, trying to impact the play. I thought he impacted the game really well, and he's keeping that shirt at the moment. You know, the more games he plays like that, the more goals he scores. the more confidence he's going to get. And we all know Richarlison is a massive confidence player, and he's going through that wave at the moment. This is his best moment in the Spurs shirt.
Yeah, 100%. And so happy for him that hopefully he's finally hitting a bit of form and gaining some momentum and keeping that run ticking over with another goal, which makes actually 7 goal contributions this season, which is not a bad return given the amount of minutes he's played, I think. So fair play to Richie. I thought it was a really good header, really brave header as well, getting in front of the keeper, and we know he's capable of doing that. I thought, again, in the early exchanges when we were on top creating a few chances, he was buzzing around and linking the play a lot better than he has done beforehand. But unfortunately, he was the sacrificial lamb when we went down to 10 men. He was one brought off, so it was a shame for him. They had to go off early, but I think in general had a good showing.
But it was the right decision, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Substitutes. Ollie Skipp came on in the first half for the injured Brennan Johnson. Sim gives him a 7. I gave him a 6. It was a surprise sub, to be honest, because it's usually Hojbjerg that he goes for first. It was Skipp, and I thought it was the right call, actually, in hindsight, looking at the game and how Ollie Skipp played, because I think he stood up for the team. He was aggressive. He was putting himself about in the middle of the park, winning the ball back quite a number of times, to be honest. And also, his passing was all right, but I felt like he could have done a few more forward passes.
Yeah, actually, I wouldn't say impressed with his passing, but I thought his passing was a pretty decent standard. It wasn't so creative. I think obviously you missed that vision that you get from a Lo Celso or a Kulusevski when they're not in the centre, and obviously Skipp's in there. It's a different kind of level, but I thought his passing was a bit quicker and a bit more accurate as well, so that was good. I thought obviously defensively, non-stop running for the team, and he was also a bit in the wars, wasn't he?
Yeah,
took a few heavy kicks from Forest players and kept going really well. So I thought it was a pretty good show from Ollie Skipp, and I thought he came on and did well for the team.
Next up, Pierre-Emile Hojbjerg, who came on in the latter stages of the game once we did go down to 10 men. Sim gives him a 6. I gave him a 5. I was a bit disappointed with Hojbjerg yesterday. I thought there were times where he was lazy. I thought there were times where he was giving the ball away a bit too cheaply. But there was also times where he was putting himself about well and helping the team out. But these last couple of performances from Hojbjerg has been a bit poor for me.
I don't think it was too much bad about what he did. I think when we're down to 10 men, yeah, he gave the ball away a bit too much. A few times maybe in our own half, but that can happen when you're being pressurised with the team with an extra man. I actually thought, in general, there was a few really nice moments, especially really the end of the game, where we were maybe looking to get a third, and he had some really there was some decent dribbling ability there from him and some decent passing. But off the ball, I thought he did a great job, really good job. I thought he was really working hard and making sure that Forest weren't getting time on the ball, and it worked a treat. I wasn't overly impressed, but I don't think he did too much bad, so I was okay with it.
And last but not least, Big Ange Postecoglou. Sim gives him an 8. I gave him a 7. Managed the game tremendously well, to be honest. I thought the team weren't really as their fluid self as they has been, but I think that was down to maybe the way Nottingham Forest did set up and how they combated the way that we wanted to play. He found solutions in the game. I thought the team kind of scored at the most perfect times in the game to help us go and get that win. And the changes I thought were pretty spot on, to be honest, when because we've got lack of options. You look at that bench, there's just nothing there. And with Brennan Johnson going off, you would like to put on another winger, to be honest, but with the circumstances that we're under, he went for Skipp instead of Hojbjerg, which I thought was a good decision. And when we did go down to 10 men, a lot of people would have assumed that he would just carry on playing that high line and carry on keep attacking. But no, he went a bit more reserved, dropped the team down a little bit, and helped us manage the game to win the game. So I thought he managed the game really well.
Yeah, I think things fell in our favour a bit in terms of, getting the goal just before half time and getting the second goal just before the sending off. So gave us a really good platform. But I agree with you. I thought made the right subs. I thought we managed the game really well, made the right subs at the right times. And I thought some of the decisions, stick Decky up front by himself, give him a chance to be that focal point we needed. I think but all the right calls. I don't think he got the lineup decision wrong. I don't really know what more he could do. I just think in terms of the circumstances of the game when we're down to 10 men, I thought we managed that situation really well. We defended very, very well, and I think The substitutions he made at that point were good. Brilliant cameo from Valise as well. Amazing from him. Like, what was it? 2 seconds on the pitch?
He was absolute class.
Unbelievable from Alejo Valise. What a substitution from Ange, so gets credit for that. But yeah, I think I couldn't have managed the game much better, to be honest. The only down point, I guess, could you have said we could have created a few more chances? Maybe that's a bit disappointing considering, how we like to play. But I thought we managed the game really well.